Hi, now we are going to discuss few examples of corporate social responsibilities, and after that I will discuss the last topic of this corporate governance chapter, and that will be corporate sustainability. So in this video we are going to discuss these two things. So examples of CSR in India, corporate social responsibility, CSR is. So I told you the corporate social responsibility started in India initially as institution building. Like Tata Group and all, they are establishing educational institutions like Indian Institute of Science, Tata Institute of Social Sciences, then Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, TIFR and all. So these were the institution building measures from the corporate side. Apart from education also they are going into many hospitals. They are going for many universities. They are going for schools. So these were the initial institution building measures of the corporate governance in corporate social responsibility. So what happened? After some time it was realized that now they do not need institution building, or say more important than institution building is to do the community development. So CSR went from institution building to community development, and under community development what they will be looking for? They will be looking for providing health, they will be looking for providing education, they will be looking for providing drinking water, they will be looking for providing sanitation facility, they will be providing gender empowerment kind of things, gender equality, women empowerment and all. Then they will be going for a skill development, vocational training and all. Then they will be going for housing. So all these community development things, employment generation you can say. So from institution building they went to community development. So this was one major change. Another major change was that the corporate social responsibility became, earlier it was philanthropic activities. From here it became strategic in nature. So what is philanthropic activity? That corporate is, there is difference between philanthropy and CSR. Philanthropy is sheer only giving. Corporate gives you something, they do not expect anything in return from the community. But CSR is giving, it is a two-way process. They give and they want something in return. Suppose they give a skill development, so the productivity of the employee who joined the company after getting a skill from the corporate, so that added productivity is gained for the company. Then this philanthropy was like, it was like aimed at philanthropic thing, and here corporate social responsibility becomes a part of the business only. They are not sheer philanthropy. So what happened in the strategic nature? That from philanthropic they became a strategic. It means the CSR became a part of the business itself. Now I tell you how. There is very good example. We know that we are pushing for e-waste collection. We are pushing for. So what we are doing under e-waste management, that we are incorporating the efforts of the company The government is incorporating the efforts of the company only in the management of e-waste. So what we are doing, that electronic manufacturers, e-manufacturers are roped in the management of e-waste. See, for example, you might have heard across the Cashify. Cashify you might be knowing. What Cashify does, the Cashify will be buying the second hand gadget. They will come to your doorstep, they will see the gadget, their condition and all, and suppose there is a mobile phone of 15,000, a smartphone. Then they will come to your doorstep, they might estimate the value of item to be 4,000 and they will be buying it. You will also be happy that after using 1 to 3 years, the same 15,000 item is being sold in 4,000. So you are happy and they are happy that they will be getting many of the products from this and they will use in their another product. For example, another example could be, you might have seen in the all the e-commerce websites, Flipkart, Amazon, Flipkart and Amazon, you might be seeing that exchange offer is there. If you buy a mobile which is costing 15,000, maybe you have to pay 15,000, but if you go for the exchange offer, if you give your old mobile, they will be calculating the value of old mobile, say 3,000, and finally they will be paying, you need to pay only 15,000 minus 3,000, 12,000. So this is the exchange offer. This is not only for mobile, for laptop, for electronics product, for induction chulha and all also you can go for the same. So these two are the major changes in the nature of corporate social responsibility. Now briefly we will give some example of corporate social responsibility. For example, first example is the Tata Group. They are into TFIR, TIFR, Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. They are into Tata Institute of Social Sciences. Then it will be IISc Bangalore. So everything they are establishing earlier. They have dedicated trust to look after all these philanthropic and humanitarian efforts. Another Tata Steel, for example, we can take. Tata Steel. About this there is a favorite dialogue, values stronger than a steel. This is what is said. So what Tata Steel did, it was established in 1907, started functioning in somewhere 1911 or something. But by the time 1920s, it is ahead of the world. By the time 1920s, it implemented most of the labor welfare measures. Within a decade of its operation, it started with most of the welfare measures for the labor, like it was providing medical facility, it was providing 8-hour works, it was providing the provident fund, it was providing the insurance, medical facilities and all. Then it was providing the benefits to the maternity benefits and all. So all these things, equal remuneration, they are ahead of the time. Globally it was also very much ahead of the time, 1920s. So Tata Group is this advanced. They were giving leave with pay, 8-hour working day. Everything they implemented in 1920s only. You can see how advanced of the time they are. Then third, we can think about Godrej Group. Godrej Group has created a lot of medical facility, sanitation facility, housing facility, which is unmatched by many American counterparts also. Many American corporates also do not put this much effort in the corporate social responsibility part. Then next we can take example of many companies. Earlier also I told you, they have gone for village adoption. What they do during the village adoption, it like Pradhan Mantri Sansad Adarsh Gram Yojana. It's like same. Sansad Adarsh Gram Yojana scheme was there, under which one parliamentarian will choose one village and it will develop that village thoroughly. Holistic development, all-round development. The same concept is with village adoption. Many companies in India, for example, BPCL, Maruti Suzuki, Hindustan Unilever Limited, All these companies has gone for adoption of village like Sansad Adarsh Gram Yojana, and they have done holistic development of village. Road, electricity, education, health, women empowerment, sanitation, awareness campaign, cleanliness, everything they have given to those villages, which village they had adopted. Another initiative you can take, ITC's e-Chopal. You can take this initiative as well. e-Chopal provides for the market linkage, and it has become one of the biggest information technology, ICT, information and communication technology, intervention in the rural India by any corporate, and they are giving fair price, supply chain management to the farmers right at their doorstep in the village. So all these are exemplary measures. There are hundreds of such measures. You can find different examples. So briefly I discussed few examples to illustrate you. Next I will be moving on to the concept of corporate sustainability. Let me write corporate sustainability. What is corporate sustainability? Corporate, so we know. What is sustainability? Let us discuss this thing. We have come across the word sustainable development. Sustainable development. Or environmental sustainability. All this concept has come from the Brundtland Commission. The Brundtland Commission, which in its report Our Common Future, in 1987, they defined the word sustainability. What is sustainability? As per them, sustainability is the fulfilling the need of the present generation, without compromising or hampering the ability of the future generation to fulfill their own needs. So it defines sustainable development or sustainability as something which fulfills the need of the present generation without compromising the ability of the future generation to fulfill their own needs. It means our generation should give our next generation a greener earth, or at least as green as it is today, not less greener. So it is like you maintain the same level of resources, or you increase resource, you do not decrease it. So this is called sustainable development. What is available? So it is talking about the intergenerational parity. It is talking about that what facility, what nature, what benefits our generation has enjoyed out of the nature, the same has to be enjoyed by the future generation. This we have to ensure. So this is the concept of sustainability. Now what is the concept of corporate sustainability? I told you there are many corporates which see a rise. It's like there is a corporate, it comes, it grows. Many comes, it grows, after attaining a height, it fall down and it gets over. Like see, for example, we can take the case of Satyam Computers. They rose for a time being, they reached the peak. After that, their practices were not sustainable, so they fell down and now no one knows them. See case of Tata. Tata is like growing and still they are growing, so they are sustainable. Because they have fulfilled the need of the previous generation as well as the next generation. So this is the concept of sustainability basically. So what is corporate sustainability? Corporate sustainability is a concept wherein the corporate should, I am defining the term, corporate sustainability is the practices and methods. Corporate sustainability is the practices and methods, strategies which fulfills the need of the present generation as well as It allows the future generation to fulfill its own needs by way of managing the human and natural resources well. Human and natural resources well. So the definition of corporate sustainability would be development those strategies and practices and methods which fulfills the need of the present generation of the corporate, that is like profit maximization and all, without hampering the future generation to fulfill their own needs. So future generation, they will be preserving the natural and human resources well. So it is like optimum use of the human and natural resources in a sustainable manner. So corporate sustainability is like a concept which manages the environmental, social and economic aspect. There is a balance between all of them. This is called corporate sustainability. Like it is opposite to the traditional model of corporate which only talked about the growth and profit maximization. No, it is not about growth and profit maximization. It's about growth and profit optimization, not maximization anymore. So it is against the conception of the Friedman who told that the business of business is business, not anymore. This is not the buzzword now. Now the buzzword is corporate sustainability and the good corporate citizenship. These are the buzzwords now. So this was the concept of corporate sustainability. Let me elaborate somewhat more what this concept is all about. This concept talks that we have to address three dimensions. At a time we have to address three dimensions. Those three dimensions are say environmental, economic and social. Okay. Here what is the interface of economic and social will be bearable. What is the interface of environment and economy will be viable. And the third will be equitable, which is for the environment and society. The environment and society part will be equitable, means the benefits of derived from environment should be equitably distributed in the society. The economic development should be such that it is bearable to the society, both ways. And the environmental management should be such that it is economically viable. Suppose I say that there is a leather plant, leather manufacturing unit, leather processing unit. Suppose there is a leather processing unit, and if we say that water treatment plant they have to establish before releasing the dirty effluent water to the river directly, they have to, from the plant, say this is the plant, from here the water they are releasing, suppose here there is river, this water they are releasing, we say that you have to install a water purification machine to treat this water, and suppose this water treatment plant cost will be 20 crores and this plant is having annual income to 20 lakhs rupees. It is not possible. So the environmental measures should be viable economically. The economic things in the society should be bearable to the society. If too much in economic inequality is there, there will be left-wing extremism, social unrest, violence, everything. In the same way, the benefits should be developed, the benefits derived out of environment should be developed equitably to the people. And when all these equitable, bearable and viable condition is made, that development will be the intersection point of all these three sustainable development. That will be called sustainable development. Now, here let me highlight it, that will be called sustainable development. So sustainable development is just this intersection point of all these. It will be sustainable development. So what this sustainable development is talking about, we use two phrases, TBL or we call it PPP. Let me discuss TBL and PPP. What is this TBL? It is triple bottom line. Triple bottom line. What this TBL stands for, triple bottom line, that people, planet and profit, all these dimensions has to be respected by a corporate. See, for example, a corporate must be making profit, otherwise it is not possible to serve other two interest. If corporate is making profit, it has to be sustainable development, respecting the environment, polluting less air and water, using less resources, creating less noise and all these things. And also the benefit has to be developed, benefit has to be distributed equitably with the people. Then when all these three bottom lines are met, then only a corporate will be sustainable. This is what is the perspective, TBL and PPP, that all these three bottom line has to be met, then only corporate will be sustainable. See, for example, I told you Tata, they are profit making continuously, they are caring for the people like none other, they are caring for the nature as well like none other. So they are surviving for decades, for over a century now. Similarly, take the case of Sterlite in Tamil Nadu. It was making profit, but it was blind to the interest of the planet. It was releasing effluent to the river without treatment, and it was blind to the interest of the people. When people started protesting against the polluting water, they used the police force, and their police violence happened, people were killed. So it did not take care of the planet and people element, so it did not survive. It took care of all these three elements, so it is thriving and it is respected by people so much. So this is the concept of the triple bottom line and corporate sustainability. So only a balance between all these three is very important to sustain the corporate in the long run. Now, what are the measures which will ensure corporate sustainability? So you can say like this also, you can create like this kind of diagram, you can create this kind of diagram, people, planet, profit, people, planet, profit. So anyway you can draw it, but that Venn diagram kind of thing is very important to show all the intersection points and everything. So now what are the ways to achieve or ensure corporate sustainability? First thing first, the first requirement is internal capacity building. Because unless you make profit, you don't have internal capacity. Unless you are having capacity to take care of people, you cannot be sustainable. Unless you have capacity to look after the interest of the planet, you cannot be sustainable. So first thing is building internal capability. How you can build internal capability? You can build internal capacity in terms of trained manpower, innovative business model, code of conduct. You should have code of ethics. You should have a good leadership which looks after the interest of every element in the triple bottom line. So these are the internal capacity building. See, for example, I am telling you this exchange offer at Amazon and Flipkart, or I gave you example of the Cashify, that you are selling your old gadgets and they are giving you money, or in the exchange offer you are giving the old gadget, the price is reduced from the new gadget equivalent to the money value of the old gadget. So for all this you need to have capacity with you. You need to have people who go to door to collect the items. Then you need to have people who can assess the prices. Then you need to have a storage capacity. If suppose 100 new mobile is sold and 100 old mobile is collected, then you need to have the capacity to store them. So internal capacity building is the first thing to ensure the corporate sustainability. Then second thing is social impact assessment. Social impact assessment. Like social impact assessment. Social impact assessment says that any action of you should assess what impact the society will have. See, for example, a Sterlite. A Sterlite, see, you can take any example. I am giving one example only to show you that how one single example can be used in different perspectives. So, a Sterlite, people did not take care of social impact. They were polluting the environment. They thought, okay, nature do not protest, but human can protest, society can protest, community can protest. So this social impact assessment you have to do. So what is this social impact assessment? That you have to see if this is the state of the society right now. Without social impact assessment, the state of society down the line will be this one, and with social impact assessment, the impact of project on society will be this much. So this is like normal course of action. This will be like with SIA, social impact assessment, and it will be without SIA. So we are not claiming that with social impact assessment all the gaps can be plugged. No, gap will be there, damage may be there, but the damage will be within bearable limit, as we discussed in the triple bottom line Venn diagram. Here if you do not go for SIA, damage will be this much, and here damage will be this much. So maybe this much damage people can sustain, this much damage may be beyond their bearable limit. So second measure was social impact assessment. Third measure we are going to discuss is research and development. See, for example, we have to find the new ways to serve the society, cheaper means of, see, for example, purifying the air, exhaust air from the factory, treating the polluted water from the factory. So all these R&D and innovation we have to look for. Without R&D and innovation and all, you cannot sustain your corporate. Then you need to have innovative business approach, new business models and all. Like this green economy, it is a buzzword now. In green economy, you have to think new models of development which fulfills the need of people, planet, profit, it means the requirements of triple bottom line. So all these measures are very important to ensure corporate sustainability. With this, our corporate governance topic got over. Now few important points I want to say you. Like I told you in the beginning lecture also, that there is a email ID created, TEACH, teach for IAS, teach for IAS at gmail.com. So you can reach out to me here for any queries that you have, teach for IAS at gmail.com. And many people have suggested me that rather than picking topics randomly, like till now I have discussed emotional intelligence and corporate governance, people are telling me to teach the ethics systematically. So what I will be doing from now, I will be teaching you ethics from the scratch since the first chapter, and I will try to wind up the whole course in a very beautiful manner with full of content, discussion and very rich knowledge. I will try to finish the whole ethics syllabus in a very systematic and arranged manner from now. So from next class I will be starting with the beginning of the ethics, what is ethics, what is values and all, and then I will try to finish the syllabus very fastly. So this is the email ID, TEACH, teach for teach for IAS at gmail.com. You can reach me out here with any queries or any material you want, or any grievances also you have. You can reach me out. You can give me suggestions also. You are highly welcome if you give me some suggestion, because your critical suggestions will be a stepping stone for me for improvement. So you are all welcome to give your feedback, suggestions and all, and soon if possible I will be sharing my phone number also, contact number, so that you people can directly reach me out. So these are the announcements. From next class I will be dealing with ethics, and after that values, and we will go very slowly in a very systematic manner, and I give you the promise that I will give you very good insights into ethics, and I will make sure that, like I always scored very high marks in ethics, around 120s and 130s. I want you people also to excel here. I want you people to excel in essay as well, because I always scored very high marks in essay, around 130s in essays also. And the key to success in essay was a strong ethics paper. So I make sure that you people benefit from my experience, and then afterwards I will be diversifying my lectures into different subjects and all. But those are the plans for the future. As of now, I will be finishing all the ethics lectures in a very regular and very systematic manner. So till now, till today, we stop here. We will meet in the next video. Thank you.